Northern here at Norton Park. Here they come. And there is Jonathan Davis, member of the Sports Channel commentary team, of course. Today, though, in the thick of the action out there on the pitch. Here is the team lineup for Widnes. Alan Tate, Great Britain international at fullback. John Devereux, Welsh Rugby Union former star, on the wing. Jonathan Davis wears 3. Darren Wright, 3 tries this season. Martin Afire. Is there a better winger in the game? Is there a better try scorer in the game than Afire? David Hume is 6. A change here. The hooker, Phil McKenzie, plays scrum half. Derek Pike at prop. David Smith, the youngster, comes in at hooker. Mike O'Neill, the other prop. Paul Moriarty, another Welsh Rugby Union import. And the second row completed by Emosi Kaloto from Wellington in New Zealand. Richard Ayres is the loose forward. And the opposition is Bradford Northern with Ian Wilkinson at full-back. Another former Welsh Rugby Union star, Gerald Caudle, on the wing. Steve McCowan has a remarkable scoring record against Widnes. He wants to preserve it today. Tony Marchant, the other centre, at 4, Great Britain international. Richard Francis comes in on the wing instead of Henderson Gill, who's out injured. Roger Simpson is in the side at standoff. The veteran Paul Harkin is the scrum half. Much will depend on him today. Great Britain international Kelvin Skerrett. The veteran Brian Noble, the hooker. Here's the man with player coach responsibilities, David Hobbs. Great Britain international Paul Medley in the second row, completed by another international, Carl Furbank. Russell Stewart, the Kiwi, is the loose forward. So just about ready for the match to get underway. And it's Jonathan Davis who will kick off with the sun at his back. Into the Bradford 22 it goes. Roger Simpson with the ball for Bradford Northern. Noble the hooker. This is Paul Medley trying to drive holes in the Widnes defence already. Stopped on that occasion. Noble again at acting halfback. Good strong run. Forced into touch by a combination of Afire and Darren Wright. Scrum down, and Widnes will have head and ball. So if you watch this, it'll be unusual if Widnes don't gain possession, but they haven't. That's one against the head. Bradford Northern sweeping the ball across the face of play. Good run from the tall one striding McGowan. Well brought down by Darren Wright. Simpson's the acting halfback. Gives it to Gerald Caudle. Good run from Caudle, eventually brought down by O'Neill. Acting halfback, Brian Noble. Harkin. David Hobbs. Medley again. Good tackle low down by Wright, completed by Afire. Roger Simpson, stand up. Tiny man, not big enough to get through against Richard Ayres and Paul Moriarty. Noble at acting halfback. Harkin. Dummy to McGowan. Good ball out to the far side to Furbank. Furbank just dropped. Bradford making progress. Grubber kick from Harkin. Ball into touch. Paul Harkin. Well, Bradford had one success against the head. An unusual, or rather a young hooker, and an unusual scrum half in Phil McKenzie. And there's another one against the head. Bradford doing well on the scrum so far. Wilkinson taking the play into the Widnes 22. Noble at acting halfback. Harkin. Simpson waits for it. Slips through his hands, but picking up the pieces. Gerald Caudle. Great run from Caudle. He's heading for the corner. He's going to get there. First try on the board for Bradford. Well, Widnes stunned in the opening 2 minutes here. Gerald Caudle, his 25th try of the season. Here it is. Great run touches down. Well, Neil Holding watching that alongside me. What do you think? Here it is again from behind the post.
It was a bit of a bad ball off Roger Simpson there. Cottle does well to tidy it up. And there's a bit of slack defence there. Cottle just goes straight for the line, as you say. Even the one thing in his mind. And over he goes, he's in the corner. And that's a good start for Bradford. They put a lot of pressure on Widnes. And I think that Widnes, with the wind at the backs, should be using his kick a lot more. But in the scrums now, they've won 2 against the head, Bradford. And that's only going to be good for the confidence.
And there's the conversion attempt from David Hobbs. It just swings away. And so it stays at 4 points to nil. Hobbs, his first kick, unsuccessful. But a good early try for Bradford Northern. They lead by 4 points to nil. That try from Gerald Caudle. His 25th try of the season. Former Cardiff Rugby Union player, signed last summer. And they say rather unkindly in rugby league circles that Caudle can now catch the ball. Widnes restart. Richard Francis picks up 10 metres from his own line. Good run from him. Widnes are going to have to get sorted here, get the defence organised. Wilkinson driving the ball down the middle. Big tacklers come in on the man in possession. Noble is the acting halfback. Good run from Hobbs, the player coach. Noble at acting halfback. Skerrett using his weight and power. Oh, slips the ball and tackled well. And again, this is Simpson, now Marchant. And a good tackle from John Devereaux. Here come Bradford again. Harkin, watch out for this fellow this afternoon. He's at the hub of everything that Bradford will try. Fairbank slips a good pass. Noble is there in support. Good play by Bradford Northern early on. They're shocking the world champions here. Harkin, Hobbs, Wilkinson. Long pass out, McGowan. Tries to hand one off. Darren Wright and Martin Afire. That tackling combination has worked also for Caudle. Well, I said he can now catch the ball in rugby league. Makes a complete hash of that. That is the 6th tackle, so it's the turnover. After 6 tackles in rugby league, possession switches from the attacking side to the defending side, or at least the side in possession to the side that was defended. Ball slips out there, still on the tackle. Bradford are back in possession. Widnes making errors early on now.
Yeah, I think we should settle it down a bit there, because that's the first time they've touched the ball since they've kicked off. And what's happening is, instead of settling the ball down, they're trying to get the ball away in the tackle, instead of letting the forwards regroup and have a touch of the ball first off.
Bradford looking good here. Wilkinson, great run. He's gone round Taser, though he's not there. The other full-back's over near the posts. And the Bradford Northern supporters can't believe this, and I don't think Widnes can either. Wilkinson's 4th try of the season has made it 8 points to nil. Here he is. He comes forward on the burst at full pace. Sidesteps Alan Tate, Great Britain international full-back in France next week. You'll have to be a little more alert than that. And touchdown near the posts.
What's happening there, as you can see, David Hobbs was taking 3 or 4 defenders in with him. Ian Wilkinson came up on his outside. David slipped a lovely ball inside to him, and that resulted in a good try. As you see it again, David Hobbs pushes the ball outside. Ian Wilkinson just checks himself. Alan Tate doesn't know where the heck he's gone. And in case he gets tackled, there's a man in support as well. A great start for Bradford, and I think David Hobbs should tack this one over for the extra 2 points.
Yes, David Hobbs, the goal kicker, the player coach, the captain, does just about everything at Oxford these days. And he's just preparing to take this kick. The ball is fallen off the customary piece of sand, so he will steady his nerve once again, right in front of the sticks. He should have no problems here. Hobbs looks at the posts, settled himself. There it is. 10-0. Bradford lead, 7 minutes gone.
I think now, Eddie, I think what's going to have to happen, Widnes are going to have to get over the ball and try and steady it up a bit, because, as I was saying before, they've only touched the ball once on attack and tried to get the ball out too early, and that resulted in that try that we just scored there.
So Jonathan Davis restarting again. Widnes 10 points to nil down. And Bradford have come here to the other side of the Pennines and started like a house on fire, but they have not done so well there. The ball spilling out of Simpson's hands, and that means that Bradford will drop out from underneath their own posts. So the first bit of pressure from Widnes, and ironically direct from the kick-off. Hobbs with the drop ball, it's held in the wind, Moriarty underneath it. Widnes supporters getting behind their men, but 4 players coming in, as you saw there, to tackle Moriarty. Well, this is Emosi Kaloto, handing off well, good stuff, good run, oh, he drops it. Bradford pick up again with Steve McGowan. Harkin going on his own from acting half. Oh, but it was a little high from Kaloto as Harkin ducked underneath him. He caught Harkin on the chin. Referee allows play to go on. Hobbs is walking through this Widnes defence at will. Here's Caudle again. Good tackle on that occasion from David Hume. Noble, the veteran hooker at acting halfback, to Hobbs, to Harkin. Good play from Bradford, keeping the ball alive. Russell Stewart, their Kiwi loose forward, right on the halfway line. Noble, Harkin. Wilkinson, scorer of that second try. Marchant gives it to Harkin. Kicking game will be important from him, but straight this time to Alan Tate. Widnes full back. Losing his speed, but can't get away from Paul Medley. Widnes having difficulty getting out of their own 22 at the moment.
I think you'll see this is the area now where Widnes have tried to settle it, and with this strong wind at the backs, I think they should look to Jonathan Davis or even Alan Tate to get the ball down into that Bradford 25 and keep the pressure on down there.
Smith, the hooker, unloads a pass as well. This is Darren Wright. McKenzie slips a good pass. Oh, gets it at the second attempt. Unloads in the tackle, but straight into the arms of McGowan. Another mistake from Widnes. Noble acting halfback. Just riding the tackle well. Untangling himself. Noble. This is Hobbs. Noble at acting halfback again. Harkin showing it once. Long pass out to McGowan, coming forward on the burst. Good tackle again from Darren Wright. Simpson acting halfback. Half brought down by a fire. The tackle completed by Paul Moriarty. Harkin acting halfback. Another kick, high one. This will test Alan Tate's nerve, hanging in the wind. Bounces off one player, bounces off another, and Richard Ayres picks up a little backhanded pass to Tate, to a fire, to Davis. Now then, what can Widnes do in reply? For nothing. Russell Stewart ties him up. The fire at acting halfback. He's hardly seen the ball, Martin Fire. Martin Fire waiting. Referee sees an infringement.
I think Bradford were a bit too keen then to get up on, obviously the referee spotted an offside, and that gives Widnes more possession and a chance to put the pressure on Bradford now.
That's big Derek Pike taking play at last into the Bradford northern half of the field. Moriarty, head down, charging forward. Well stopped. Hume, McKenzie, Hume again. Big men come up. Ayres tries to slip the pass. Slips the pass straight into the arms of Stephen McGowan. Fortunately for Widnes, the cover is there. Hume and Tate bring him down. Noble from acting halfback, taking it on his own. He takes it on his own as well. Straight into Martin. We felt that from up here. Noble, Harkin, Skerritt. Played in the 3 tests, Kelvin Skerritt against the Kiwis this autumn, but omitted for the French test next week. Paul Harkin, Hobbs, Wilkinson. Good pass, Marchant keeping the ball alive. Simpson on the far touchline. play from Harkin, pushing Widnes back to their own line all the time. Tate picks up. And a good tackle from Richardson.
See, another thing now as well is that Widnes are using a bit too much energy trying to get onto that 25. Whereas, as I said before, they've got this big wing which they should be using. And as again, there's another mistake and putting them under even more pressure. I think they've got to learn to just settle the ball down and then try and get rid of it.
What do you think, Neil, has gone wrong for Widnes? Were they hit cold with these 10 points early on?
You know what it was, Bradford? It looks as though Bradford have come out to do a job. What they've done, they've got the defence right and just come out as though they wanted to tackle, and then they've forced Widnes into that many errors that it's just resulted in Bradford scoring 2 tries and they're on the attack once again.
Right, here is Marchant. Widnes marshalling their defences. Stewart, the acting halfback. Simpson. Tackle Moriarty. Noble acting halfback. Putting around with Harkin. Okay, Bradford standing up in the tackle, getting rid. Oh, well, not so on that occasion. Poor old Richard Francis, not having much chance there. Jonathan Davis. Perhaps he's a bit shell-shocked too, puffing and blowing. Something will be needed from the Welshman and the other big star signings in this Widnes side to try and get them back into the match. Scrum collapses in a heap. As has it, Widnes.
It's the first scrum that Widnes have won with their feet as well now. We'll see if they've learned by the mistakes. We'll see how many times it takes them to settle this ball and then get rid.
Well, there's a hooker playing scrum half and a young experienced hooker in the Widnes side. Is that, do you think, where the problem lies?
Well, possibly, because it takes a good scrum half to feed a pack, and a hooker always burns a scrum half when the ball isn't going right.
Tate with the kick ahead. That was what Neil Holding said that Widnes should be doing, pushing Bradford Northern back towards their own line. Ian Wilkinson collects that bouncing ball, comes forward at pace. Good run from the Bradford fullback.
The thing is now, Eddie, this is where Widnes should maintain the pressure, keep the pressure on Bradford and try and force them into mistakes now.
Bradford are loading the pass beautifully in the tackle. This is Harkin. Eventually brought down. Not too happy with the challenge. Picks himself up gingerly. Sets Bradford in motion again. 15 minutes gone. Widnes trail here by 10 points to 0. Bradford starting well. Going slightly off the boil in the last couple of moments.
That's it, you see, Widnes have got down this end of the park now and trying to contain Bradford in there, and Bradford has started doing Widnes' trick. They're trying to throw silly balls out in the tackle, and I think we'll see there's one against the head again for Widnes.
Another one against the head. Frustration all round this ground for the Widnes supporters. The fans who are full of Bradford Northern over here delighted with what they see at the moment, and no wonder. Here's Harkin again. Well brought down by David Smith. Charging in. Using good yardage all the time here at Bradford, every time they're in possession. Here they go again. Stewart. Stewart again at acting halfback. Harkin the first man. Coming forward on the burst, the big figure of Kelvin Skellett. Hobbs. It's ahead. Ball runs dead. Play will restart from the Widnes 22-metre line.
I think Bradford did the right thing there. What they did, they made sure the ball went dead, and now it's up to Widnes again to come out of that 25, and Bradford, hopefully they're going to keep them pinned down here. I think we'll see the kick in a minute again.
For the time being, though, the battle is joined by Richard Ayres. Battle standing up. Spills at that time. Moriarty collects, but that's a scrum down. Bradford have head and ball. And there's the Widnes coach, Doug Lawton, puffing on the customary cigarette. I don't think he is too happy with what he's seeing at the moment. The crowd not happy with the way Harkin fed that scrum, but perhaps that's a message for Phil McKenzie. That perhaps is the way to do it. This is Tony Marchant. Look at that haircut. When he came from Castleford, he was called Sheephead, would you believe? This is a great run, though, from Carl Furbank. Just short of the Widnes line. Noble at acting halfback. Harkin again. This is Hobbs. Long pass out. Ooh, picked up off his knees almost, but not quite by Skerrett.
That was unlucky there. Jonathan Davis had a chance to, if he'd have picked the ball up, I think Widnes would have been back in this game. It was just unfortunate that he knocked the ball on as well, but in rugby league you take the first knock on, no advantage was played. As you can see now,
there's a knock on, and Widnes have possession from the scrum. McKenzie at acting halfback. There's trying desperately to get Widnes out of their own 22. They're moving nicely across the line. And John Devereux pulled down. The fire. The Pike to Tate. Looking for support. Oh, backhanded pass. It was fortunate for Alan Tate that Martin Afire was there. This now is Paul Moriarty handing off the challengers. 1-2, but eventually going down. Afire acting halfback again. McKenzie. O'Neill. Hume. Coloto. Looking for support. Spills out of his hands again. O'Neill picks up. Now this is Ayres. Good run from Richie Ayres. Oh, and another mistake from Widnes. David Hume pounds the ground in frustration. Things simply not going right for Widnes at this stage.
There again, Ed, as you saw before, Widnes have started to go in ones all the time, and that resulted just in a knock-on by David Hume. Phil McKenzie is gone without relaying any indication to David Hume that he was going on the blind side. David was left a bit in 6s and 7s, which resulted in loss of possession again and another scrum down.
And scrumming in rugby league is a shambles at the best of times, and the referee Steve Cross from Hull awards a differential penalty to Widnes, enables them to gain a bit more ground. They're now in the Bradford northern half of the field. Here comes Mike O'Neill on the charge. Nowhere on that occasion though. Smith, McKenzie, good play. Looking for support. It arrives in the shape of Ayres. Ball out to Jonathan Davis. Oh, he slips. Oh, and a terrible pass from Davis.
I think you see there was a forward pass there, Ed, first of all, rather than knock on. That's what the referee's given there, a forward pass.
And Jonathan Davis in some trouble here, clinging onto the back of his right leg. And this is the movement that brought that injury about. He picks up there, seems to be in no problem at all, then slips. And he immediately knows that the hamstring has gone. And I think Jonathan Davis will be playing no more part in this match.
So there's a substitution warming up now. Kurt Sorensen is taking the field.
There's Kurt Sorensen, Widnes team captain, club captain, and assistant coach to Doug Lawton. So not bad when you can bring a man of Kurt Sorensen's experience onto the field as a substitute. Just back in the reckoning after injury. The ankle that he injured, I believe, yesterday was a little sore, and that perhaps is why he's not on from the start. Jonathan Davis' injury confirmed as a pulled hamstring on that right leg. So the problems are mounting for Widnes. The star man is off. Jonathan Davis And they're trailing by 10 points to nil, 22 minutes of the first half done. Noble to Harkin. Harkin to big Carl Fairbank. Forwards doing a good job here for Bradford Northern.
I think we'll see this kick again now.
Absolutely right. It bounces off Hume though. And here's a bit of football for you, soccer style. The referee says that is 6 tackles. That is the changeover. And so Widnes get possession back. No marker there, so Derek Pike takes it up on his own.
I can't understand that because in the semi-final yesterday, when that happened and it bounced off a Wigan player, the referee waved back to 6. I mean, some referees have a different interpretation of that rule. But there again, Wigan was forced to make another error. And Bradford come up with the possession from the scrum to feed now after a knock on by Kurt Sorensen.
Well, 10-0, Bradford in the lead, and this is the reason why, because errors are happening all over the place as far as Widnes are concerned. A total of 9, but here comes Bradford again. They're over for a try. Another one.
Roger Simpson this time.
And the Bradford Northern supporters are shouting that it's easy, easy, easy. Well, it certainly is. Roger Simpson, his 6th try of the season. And there is the surprise scoreline, 14 points to nil.
What we've done now, we catch the ball coming from the scrum. Roger Simpson spotting a gap outside, takes Phil McKenzie on. The spurring tackle comes across from the winger and he goes over. It's here again. John Devereux tries desperately to cut him off. The spurring dive, but that's not good enough, and Roger Simpson goes over and adds another 4 points to the Bradford score.
Well, things are going from bad to worse here for Widnes, aren't they? 14 points to nil they trail. It's about to be 16 because this is a goal kick of fairly academic proportions as far as David Hobbs is concerned. But my word, 9 errors from Widnes, 3 errors from Bradford Northern, and another successful kick from David Hobbs. That's 2 out of 3. And Widnes in all sorts of trouble here. David Hobbs with that goal. The player coach, the captain, the jack of all trades at Odsal these days, will be delighted if he looks just behind him on the scoreboard here. Widnes trail by 16 points to nil. With John Devereux, there's been a switch out there on the field of play. John Devereux has moved inside from the wing onto into the centre. And there's another substitute warming up. Joe Grimmer is warming up to come into the action over on the far side. Meanwhile, play continues. Bradford 16 nil ahead. But here's Devereux. The foul. McKenzie. Widnes moving nowhere at the moment. Pike to Sorensen. Sorensen away from Tony Marchant. No. Pike's in a bit of trouble, I think, injury-wise there. Oh, another slip pass. Ball goes to ground again. And that is a scrum down. Yet another mistake from Widnes.
Here's David Jewell giving a bad ball. The ball wasn't really on, and Moriarty came through, put the ball down, and that resulted in yet another scrum.
And while the substitution is made, the two packs just wait for Joe Grimmer. He's replaced Derek Pike, who goes onto the bench. So 2 substitutions for Widnes already in 27 minutes of this first half gone. Wilkinson in possession for Bradford Northern. Harkin, Hobbs, Medley. He's got Martin Fire around him. Martin Fire pulls him down. Doing well in defence today, Martin Fire, so far. Seeing nothing from him from an attacking point of view. And as well brings Caudle down.
People were saying about Martin Fire's defensive qualities, but like you say, he's had a lot of work to do on this left-hand flank today, and he's proven right. There's only got one spell where Caudle scored in the corner, but he'd been committed to another tackle.
There's Martin Fire, one of the best try scorers that this game has ever seen. Notice there that David Hume, the regular scrum half, is now feeding the scrums here, despite the fact he's wearing number 6 on his back this afternoon. High kick, it bounces off the legs of Simpson and runs dead. That was yet another mistake. An error this time from Bradford Northern. That's their 6th.
Sorry, Ed.
I was going to say, it came off the legs of the Bradford player there.
That's a ply that Widnes usually use. What happens is they get the ball from the scrum and kick it deep, hoping that a fire is quite quick to regain it from the scrum. But that was a bad mistake again by Widnes, letting the ball go out on that this near touchline to us. It's resulted in another scrum, but they could have come up with a lot more pressure than going down there.
So a scrum down just 10 metres from the Bradford line. Widnes get possession. Mackenzie now. Tate forward on the burst. Well guarded though by 3 Bradford defenders. A fire. Smith. Martin Afire coming infield more and more, isn't he?
Yeah, he's looking for a lot of the ball now. The thing is, when he's been stood on his wing, he's not getting the ball from the centres because Widnes is just depending on taking the ball up the middle. I think if they get the ball out a lot wider, then we could see them with quite a few running chances.
There's a fire again behind Kurt Sorensen. Fire at acting halfback, gives it to Mackenzie. And here we go to the 5th. That was the 5th tackle, so we're now on the 6th. What will Widnes do here? Little kick ahead, bounces off a Bradford leg. Hume picks up again and is brought down. What will the referee say here? Well, he says that again was 6 tackles completed, and so the change over. Even though it hit a Bradford player, it wasn't an intentional interception by Bradford, and so they get possession at the handover. Good run from him, good driving run. Breaking through the cover. Good run from McGowan. Jinking away from the tacklers. Widnes are having a nightmare. Noble. Harkin. Furbank out to Marchant. Bradford keeping the ball alive. Wilkinson in possession now. Marchant back in support. Kurt Sorensen thunders into the floor.
That was a good break by Steve McGowan there. And that's put Bradford right on the attack again.
Yes, they really have got their tails up here. Skerritt. Forwards taking the battle to Widnes and so far winning it, and winning it easily. Harkin, Medley, Harkin again, kick, looking for touch, and a good rubber kick, all along the ground, just 10 or 11 metres from the Widnes try line. The Widnes players wandering round and looking just a little bit perplexed.
So Paul Harkin's got the right idea now. They're putting all the pressure back on Widnes. Widnes have been in the Bradford 25 now for, say, 3 or 4 minutes and not come away with any points. Bradford's come up this end now trying to contain them.
This is Moriarty. That's a better run from Moriarty. The fire again, the acting halfback. Mackenzie, first receiver. Right. Tackling though from Bradford, isn't it? They're really getting stuck in and sticking to the task here.
See what it is, Bradford's making Widnes play to Bradford's type of pattern because they've got a big pack and they're causing Widnes to play down the middle all the time. Widnes have got loads of pace outside and they should be exploiting that, but the thing is...
Here they go now and they're using a bit of that pace that they're holding the talking about in the shape of Richard Ayres. Sorensen. Coloto. He really must use his height and weight to try and break through this Bradford defence if he possibly can. Delaying a little to let Coloto back to his feet. Mackenzie at acting halfback. Sorensen. Good run from Sorensen. Tate in support. A fire, and there's number 40 for a fire for the season on the board. Right in between the posts. Widnes at last have woken up. They're back in the hunt. And who else but Martin Afire, the try scorer supreme, goes over for his 40th try of the season. Good play between Alan Tate and a Fire. Tate picking up the ball from Sorensen. And Fire, it was a walk-in try in the end. Touches down underneath the posts. Good run from Tate this. Sees a Fire coming up in support. Tips the ball over the top of his shoulder. There's that customary stride from Martin Fire as he drops the ball over the line.
It was a good run by Kurt Sorensen and good backing up by Alan Tate. I think he's a bit fortunate with this pass. The referee could have judged it forward, but give Martin Fire a chance like that. It's just like a bullet out of the gun. There's no stopping him from that range.
Well, interesting here. There's no Jonathan Davis as Martin Fire takes a well-deserved mouthful of water. But interesting, as I say, that Jonathan Davis is off the field with a hamstring injury, and who's going to take over the goal-kicking responsibilities? None other than Paul Moriarty. And his first goal kick this match, quite straightforward, quite simple. And Widnes back in the hands of the same. Deficit has been cut. Now, was this a forward pass? Neil Holding says perhaps. Well, there it was. Slip pass from Sorensen to Tate. Tate gives it to the Fire. Forward or not? Neil Holding, you've had another chance to see it.
The thing is, the points are on the board there, Eddie, but I mean the referee could have put it either way. It went in the favour of Martin Fire, and the point stands. So if the referee's going to do that, it's going to be the same for both sides, then albeit. But they're back in the hunt now, Widnes.
They are 6 points to 16. Widnes are trailing, but the important thing is that they are back with just 6 minutes to go to half-time. Moriarty driving his way, almost running the Bradford player into the ground there, Richard Francis. Caloto, can they bring him down? They don't have to. The referee says he was held standing up. Mackenzie, Grimmer, Gutierrez. This is better. Oh, I was about to say this is better, and Ayres throws the ball into no man's land. Fortunately for him, he's able to retrieve it for Widnes. Hugh. Ball, Sorensen spilled it again. Simpson picks up on the mistake. Good run from the little man. But then he runs into two Widnes players, Moriarty and Mosi Caloto. Noble, the acting halfback. Wilkinson. Caloto's getting stuck in now. And the ball's gone to ground. Fortunately for Bradford, it was Richard Francis who was out there and able to drop on the loose ball. Starting to get a bit warm out there now.
I think Widnes have started to realise that this is what they've got to do, start to tackle Bradford. It's resulted in a penalty for holding down. And that's what they should have been doing from the onset. They should have been making these tackles 2 and 3 men and not allowing Bradford to slip the ball.
It'll be a great fillip for Bradford if they win here. Their record is not so good away from home. They've won only 2 matches away from their Odsal Stadium in the First Division this season. They're leading here 16 points to 6, 4 minutes to the half-time break. Noble from acting halfback. Going it alone and going nowhere. Harkin. Medley. A tackle from Sorensen. The referee says that was across his chest. Medley doesn't like it. Sorensen pushes him away. Harkin. Noble. Looking for support. Penalty to Widnes though.
I think it was a forward pass that is adjudged there.
Oh, well, he pointed at Widnes, and now he's saying it has gone down.
Some referees say that if it's a deliberate forward pass, that sometimes they do award a penalty.
Widnes get possession from the scrum. Mackenzie, good pass in the end. It was a bit risky. This is Devereux. Long striding John Devereux turns the ball inside, straight into the arms of Ian Wilkinson. He was being forced into touch. Lobbed the ball over, but Bradford are back in possession with McGowan. Marchant the acting halfback. Harkin. Harkin having a word with Moriarty. Hobbs, reverse pass. Burbank brought down. Moriarty's hurt his arm there. Play continues meanwhile. A penalty to Bradford.
Actually, Eddie, I think Widnes were a bit fortunate there not to have Kurt Sorensen penalised, because after the ball had gone, he caught David Hodge with an elbow at the back of the head. He allowed play to go on the referee, and then he got penalised a bit later on
for that swinging arm, I think, by Grimmer.
But earlier on there was a swinging arm by Kurt Sorensen, which the touch judges missed and the referee. But I think justice has been done by Bradford getting the penalty now.
And it's about, what, 28 metres from the Widnes posts in centre field, against the wind, which is quite strong here today. And Hobbs has been successful with 2 out of 3 kicks. And he could increase the lead here to 12 points. Widnes 6, Bradford Northern 16. This for a good 12-point lead at half-time. Hobbs steadying himself, right-footed. It's a good one. Flags go up. Widnes 6, Bradford Northern 18. And David Hobbs, the Bradford Northern player coach, will be well pleased. He's in his second spell as coach at Odsal. Had a spell earlier in the season when he was in charge after Barry Seaborn's departure, and they won 7 of the 10 matches that he was in charge of. Ron Willey, the Australian, came in. He left last weekend, and they said to Hobbs, we'll have another go, and he's hoping that it will be confirmed, his appointment at the end of the season. Got off to a good start last week at Salford. He's getting off to an even better start here now. A scalp of Widnes would be quite something on his record, wouldn't it?
He's doing really well, because when we played them earlier on in the season, him and Paul Harkin were in charge, and he said the lads was responding well to him, and it looks as though he's changed it round again. The lads are responding well once more, and they're coming up with a good result so far. I think that if they win today here, then they'll look even further in the championships.
Well, we are now approaching the end of this first half. I don't think the Widnes supporters can believe it, but Bradford are ahead by 18 points to 6. And the World Club Champions, who really are up against it. I wonder whether we're going to see a fight back and whether Alan Tate will get that fight back going. No, he won't, because as he tried to move the ball out basketball style, it slipped from his hands, and Bradford got back onto it. Gerald Caudle, a powerful run from Caudle. The fire and Phil McKenzie pulling him down. There is the half-time hooter, and the boos ring round this ground from the Widnes supporters, because they, I don't think, are happy with what they've seen. But Bradford Northern have taken the play to, they shocked them with a couple of tries, and the